The following is a presentation of the Mat Talk Podcast Network.
The mind of Pat Popolizio is a wondrous thing. And for you Pack wrestling fans, you'll get to go inside the mind of the Skip each and every episode here on the PackMentality Pop-Ins Podcast. Now, here's your host, NC State Director of Athletics Digital Communications, Brian Reinhardt.
Back by popular demand, we got the band back together, and we welcome you to a brand new episode of the PackMentality Pop-Ins Podcast. I'm your host, NC State Director of Athletics Digital Communications, Brian Reinhardt, and we are social distancing today. We dialed up the Skype machine. We are fortunate enough to have the head coach of the Wolfpack, Pat Popolizio. Pat, you haven't been on your own podcast for months. You seem to take the summer hiatus every year. So welcome back to your own podcast. I hope you remember how to do this.
Great. Hey, appreciate it. Good to hear your voice. Last time I figured our communication was with each other was I was having to send you the YouTube video of how to answer your phone. So I'm glad we're finally connected one way or another here.
Yeah, it was great. I was on vacation and you just kept calling me and harassing me. So, I appreciate that. But hey, that's what it's for. I'm here for NC State Wrestling and I'm here for Pat Popolizio's podcast. Can't wait to get into this episode.
Good. Yeah. Well, I feel like we've been on vacation for quite a while now. Now that we can't be in the WB day to day. So I hope you still got that computer charged up.
We do. We all get 10 days of vacation. I just used all my 10 in a row. So
all right.
Lots of questions for you today. Unfortunately, I'm not sure there's many answers as there's still so many questions in regards to the upcoming 2021 NCAA wrestling season. But leading right off, something all of our fans keep asking updates on. What is the beard status over there?
So we've been making really good progress. The growth has been phenomenal, and the coloring is not all the best, but we'll deal with that. I think that's just experience at its finest. But no, we had to trim it up a little bit. I think I was looking around in the mirror and I was like, I didn't even recognize myself. So yeah, we trimmed it up. It looks good as can be right now. So good, perfect length for me. If we keep this going to December, can we get Santa Claus?
It will go like that.
I feel like we're halfway there right now, so we might have to.
I'm very glad there's no video for this podcast. You definitely have a face for radio, and that's even more evident now. But are you still sticking to your guns, not shaving it off until the wrestling room is back open?
I've been holding strong, so yeah, that's my plan right now. I'm a man of my word, I like to think. So we'll have to hopefully see when we're going to be able to get in there, but hopefully sooner than later. Like you said, though, no one's got real concrete answers.
Well, we're going to get into all this. We're going to put you in the pressure cooker. I think we can tackle questions from a couple of different sides. Let's start first with the NCAA side of things. You recently wrapped up as the president of the National Wrestlers Coaches Association. I'm waiting for the picture of the send-off, but the NWCA had a meeting recently. Among the D1 coaches, what was some of the talks or what was some of the thoughts about the upcoming season from the NCAA side of things?
Yeah, as you can see with, different news channels and outlets there's definitely a lot of talk about the possibility of moving the start date of the season. I think everybody's kind of seeing that kind of play out little by little. Just the recent announcements with, the Ivy Leagues, I think, play a role in some of the stuff, and I think there's going to be some others, that trickle down from it. But the biggest thing is how do we schedule and how do we plan, a non-traditional season? And that's where we got to get creative and just navigate through the landscape of that. When you look at how an individual qualifies for the national tournament, strength of schedule, getting the minimum dates on your schedule for an individual is critical. So I think all that's going to get thrown out the window, and we're going to have to come up with a system that works. And, you look at scheduling, we're sitting here mapping out our schedule right now, and you're pretty much all set, and then you take away half a season, you know, we're going to basically have to redo our whole entire schedule. So it's not easy. I don't think any sport right now has the answer to anything. So we're just going to have to deal with it and be flexible and make it happen.
I know everything's changing so constantly here, but do you think right now, as we stand, the NCAAs, as they're scheduled for St. Louis, that is really your hard end date? Or do you see that maybe even being able to slide back? That's a huge event with thousands of fans coming into that venue.
Yeah, I don't know. I worry that sometimes, you know, you get dates on a calendar and there's so much behind it more than we know as coaches. And I think it's hard to move those big events and locations. All I know is I want to see our guys and not just us as an NC State, but our sport wrestle that national tournament. And whether we got to do it in a high school gym with 8 mats and still crown national champs, or we get to wrestle in St. Louis in front of, you know, whatever they hold, that 20,000 people. That's what we got to do. I don't want to miss another year without these guys being able to accomplish their goals. So ultimately that would be my perfect world, is watching guys compete for national title, whether it's in April, May, March, June. At least they have a shot and they can train for it and actually go out and compete. So I think that's what we have to focus on and try to make that happen one way or another.
Even before all the COVID, there seemed to be kind of a push, or people want to start to get in place, maybe you guys just being a one semester sport anyway. Do you think that was some of the talk even before all this?
There's definitely been a lot of talk to that. There's so much data that they're analyzing right now on the academic side of things, as far as the safety of a sport. Budgets are another one. So I think it's a great idea. I would love to move off of the season that we're in, start a little later, gives our guys time to get acclimated here on campus. It is freshmen. You know, guys that are returning kind of know the system, but it gives you more time to really develop your freshmen. I think you'd see less kids redshirting. And then, you know, I think it's, when you look at wrestling, we hit every major holiday there is in our season. So kids really don't get any downtime. You know, I think this past year we hit Thanksgiving, Christmas, and what was the last one? We had our spring break. We're here training through all those, and obviously there's some other minor holidays in between that. But those 3 breaks for kids, you know, they're stuck here full time training, and it would be nice to actually send kids home, not have to worry about coming rushing back. And you know, the biggest thing is obviously we got to make weight, got to be ready to compete in the next competition. So I think that could eliminate all that. And on top of that, you know, the academics, I think would, obviously we've been doing a great job, or everybody's doing phenomenal in the classroom here, but I think some other places, maybe it could help them achieve their academic goals of what they're looking to do.
26 wrestlers on the ACC academic honor roll this year, a new high once again. So great accomplishments, but you've already kind of mentioned this, but I wrote this question down, so I'm still going to ask it. But some disappointing recent news in wrestling. Stanford, they're going to discontinue their program after this season. And this is after ODU already canceled for this coming season. And maybe a little bit closer to home, affecting NC State, the Ivy League announced none of their athletic teams will compete before January 1st. And you guys went up to Cornell last November, got the road win. They were to come to Raleigh this year. Has the Ivy League announcement affected your schedule, in particular Cornell?
No, because that one was scheduled for second semester towards the end of the year. But I have a feeling, I mean, they're going to have to completely redo theirs. Well, the Ivies actually start later. They have a later start date. They're only allowed so many dates on their schedule. So their start date's going to be a lot later than obviously now being January. But I think they were basically at a December start date before that. So, yeah, we are scheduled to wrestle them second semester towards the end of the season, but I have a feeling that's all going to get changed one way or another. But we still want to see good competition, and hopefully that stays on our schedule, because they're going to have a really good team next year. So there'll be a lot of great matches in that duel as long as we can make that happen.
What do you think about tournaments before January 1st, such as Cliff Keen, Midlands, Southern Scuffle? Any talk about only doing duels this season?
We've been analyzing every situation right now. I personally love the dual meets and think that would be the way to go. It would be the safest way. And I think that all plays back into, having a certain amount of matches for an individual, having the strength of schedule that you need. With the way things are right now, it would be interesting to see if we're able to pull off, tournaments and getting that many kids into a gym all together multiple times throughout the year, because those are the best tournaments right now when you get down to it. They've had some really good high-level competitions at. So it will definitely be interesting to see if we're allowed to do that. And then if we are, when are those tournaments going to take place?
Back home here at NC State, I know talks and meetings over Zoom have been going on about your wrestlers returning to campus. What can you share from that end? When do you expect to get your squad all back here in Raleigh?
We plan, obviously, school starting first week in August. So, that first week, I would say half our guys are already back here, living here through the summer. The other half, and freshmen included, we'll be moving in that first week. So not our typical start of anything we normally do, because usually, we'll have some get-togethers, whether it's the freshmen and some socials. But with everything going on right now, it's unknown. We don't know. I think everything's week to week right now, what we can do and how we'll be able to do it. I know, the department's been doing a great job testing everyone and having some really good safety protocols, and everything looks really positive when reading some articles that just came out. I don't know if you saw that too, but I think we tested 315 athletes and coaches and had, the percentages of where we needed to be were really good. So I kind of like those numbers I saw, and hopefully we can keep it like that here.
I read every article that comes out about NC State. That's my job.
All right. So give me the numbers. The numbers. I think we tested 315 and they said
five came back positive for a 1.6%.
Yes. I never knew you were that good at math, but that's
I'm actually better at math than I am at this. So believe it or not, as great as I am at this thing, I'm even better at math.
I think that's really good. And then if we can keep the numbers down like that and everybody does their part, I think that's going to be the key with getting to where we want to be as far as all sports go. And I know it can be a tall task, but everybody participating in and being safe, that would be the ultimate goal here.
And you mentioned that freshman class. Every year, they're always here for at least one of the summer sessions. All the newcomers, they're still at home waiting to move into Raleigh. Have you been able to integrate the new freshman class in any kind of team meetings or activities that you guys have been doing?
Yeah, we've, we have 2 weekly calls with the guys, one with the coaches, one with just them. We want to keep our team chemistry rock solid, and the guys have been doing a really good job as far as everybody being on one call together, making that a priority. And then we have implemented our freshmen now. So in a normal summer, those guys would be here right now, full time, getting their feet on the ground here, learning where the classrooms are at, and basically putting faces to the names for not just our team, but people that they're going to be their support staff around them. So yeah, it's unfortunate, but I think we've been doing a really good job implementing some things to make sure we're building those relationships up, because I do believe that team chemistry has a lot to do with success as a team and individuals. And I want to make sure we're really focused in on that.
We interrupt this interview to bring you a very special announcement from the PackMentality Pop-Ins Podcast. Now in its third season covering the Wolfpack wrestling team, the PackMentality Pop-Ins Podcast has featured such guests as world medalists, NCAA champions, MMA world champions, and a pair of WWE Hall of Famers, in addition to current and past members of the NC State wrestling staff and team. It was the very first podcast hosted by a school devoted to college wrestling, and it was also the very first podcast produced by NC State Athletics. If you are an NC State wrestling fan, we encourage you to subscribe and download to the PackMentality Pop-Ins Podcast to catch great interviews and get the behind-the-scenes information on the Wolfpack wrestling team. Just search hashtag PackMentality on your favorite podcasting platform. I know every team around the country is in the same boat, but without these freshmen getting into the mat room and even the weight room this summer, does it make it even harder this season for them to come in right away and compete? Do you think, will you have to adjust their training schedules from other freshman classes?
Yeah, I think one thing we do a great job is our summer training, and we really build a great foundation for the freshmen that are here. And now that we're not able to do that, we'll just have to see where they're at. I know Sam Craven's done a phenomenal job in the weight room. He spends the summer focusing a lot on the technical side of things with lifting. So as we get through the season, we're really strong and healthy. So I know that's going to take some time too. But again, it sounds like everything that we're reading and hearing, there's going to be a later start date to our season. So I don't think anybody's going to have to rush. And I mean, I think every program, whether it's wrestling or another sport, they're all in the same situation. I don't think anybody's getting a true advantage over anybody when it comes to training. And I know there's creative ways to keep training and do things. And I think everybody's going to utilize what skill set they have to try to get an advantage. But I think we're all in the same boat right now.
Sounds like a little extra preseason time. You might be able to turn some of these guys into track stars. I know you enjoy having that whistle down there. Yeah,
it was funny. We were on a call yesterday, and Trent, or was it Wednesday? And it was he was saying that looks like preseason is going to be 12 weeks this coming year. And I was like, yeah, sounds about right. 4 days a week for 12 weeks. We're gonna be able to hit every workout we need to. So we'll be ready.
I mentioned those new freshmen. You and your staff have been on the hunt for future members of the pack as well. And right now they're calling it a dead period, but you are still texting, calling, FaceTiming with recruits. Dead period means they cannot come to campus. How much of that usually happens during the summer that you're currently missing out on?
I think it's a lot. I think you get kids that are passing through that are obviously of the age that can come visit a school, going off the NCAA rules. And then there's the off-campus contacts with all the tournaments that we're not able to go to and evaluate kids. There was a lot, even club workouts. Just there's so many avenues where you can go and evaluate a kid and see and just be a part of the in-person recruiting process. So, that part's obviously not happening right now, but there's other creative ways to get in front of families now. And I think at least our staff, and I know a lot of other programs are doing it, spending a lot of time on the computer. So we're, it's like being an SID guy now. I got to be with my laptop open 24/7, ready for that next big article.
I would enjoy seeing you cut your teeth in this profession. That would be great. But have you made it out of Raleigh yourself this summer?
I left for one weekend so far. Yes.
That's right. That was the weekend I had off and didn't have to do anything.
Maybe. I don't know. I still would have had my phone on if you need
Probably.
me. I always do, but I just know when you go out for 10 days,
okay.
I don't hear. If I was actually just checking in and making sure you're doing all right, I care about you as a person, and what maybe it wasn't work related, and I get sent a voicemail.
Appreciate that. It was a tough drive up to the mountains, but we made it. Where did you go?
I went to Banner Elk. Someone I know has a really nice setup up there. Got away for the weekend, long 3-day weekend, but still hit all my calls.
Okay.
Actually did all our it was June 15th. I hit all our recruiting calls out of there. I think it made 20 that day.
Wow.
So I was up in the mountains, had good service. Kind of, I know when you were up there, the phone, you kept telling me your phone was dead. But
it's a great excuse to have. I can't use it down here. But we talked about your team. Let's turn to the RTC guys. Wolfpack RTC had 4 qualify for the Olympic trials, which obviously are going to be rescheduled. But with the wrestling room closed this summer, how have guys like Gwiz, Mock, and Tommy Gant, how have they been adjusting?
They've been doing a really good job. This is and it hit them just as hard as it's hit college guys, and Nick was, projected right now to be the 1 seed for the trials, putting them in a really good spot. And Mock and Tommy and Casper all qualifying. The same thing happened to them. They obviously didn't get their chance to wrestle that tournament out. But I think it kind of hits that reset button a little bit, just really makes you appreciate, when you're able to do things full time the way you want to do them. And then I think once the dust settled here, we were able to talk and really take this time to focus in on actually just getting better at wrestling instead of always training for a tournament or a competition or an opponent. And I've seen some really, really good improvements from those guys in our RTC right now, because they've been, doing a good job of keeping things in-house in a closed circuit and able to get some workouts together. So, you can see some really good progress with those guys right now.
I mentioned those alums, and we are putting together a very fun event for former Wolfpack wrestlers. On Thursday, July 16th, you and your staff will be hosting an Alumni Happy Hour on Zoom. We just sent some RSVPs out and already a great response. Last count I saw, 4 national champions alone are going to be on the call. Pat, this was a great idea during these different times while we're all at home to get everybody together. I know you're looking forward to this.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the things I think we take a lot of pride in here, is having really good alumni support. And I'm excited about this one. I obviously, the people that are already signed up, the people that have been supporting our program in one way or another, and they come to all our events, come to our matches, come to NCAAs. And then, it's one of those where you get sometimes people saying they're too busy or they can't travel. Well, I get to call them out now and say, well, I'm not asking you to travel. I'm just asking you to log onto your computer for an hour. And I've had to use that line on a couple of people, and I got them to sign up though. So I'm going to keep using that. It's kind of like what I got to do to you at times. And we're going to have, I think it's going to be some good old war stories that we'll get to chat about a little bit.
It's going to be a fun time. I know Guzzo, he's going to be on it too, and he likes to talk a little bit. So, but if you're an alum and we do not have your email address and we have not reached out to you, please contact anybody from NC State Wrestling. Even contact us on Twitter, and we will certainly get you the information for the alumni Zoom. Going to be a great time. Pat, it's great catching up with you. Glad we can pull you away from whatever it is you do all day up there in that gated community.
About to get a little workout in, Brian. Hopefully you're going to do the same. So when we all get back together in WB again, we can all recognize each other.
Wow, Pat, it's 1:30. I've already gotten 2 workouts. You're about to get your first. A little disappointed in that, but I know you're a busy man. You talk about being on the phone all day. So indoor workout, outdoor workout. Where are we at now with these workouts?
Today will be an indoor workout. I was already got one in. It was part of a workout, okay. And it was hot and humid in our garage with no AC. So
I know you're afraid to get outside and sweat. I know you like the air conditioning. You like your Stairmaster inside. Okay.
Yeah, right. That's why the wrestling room's at 80 degrees at all times.
Do you have a Peloton?
Peloton.
Isn't that what it's called? That bike thing with all the.
Air dying. Is that what you're talking about?
Oh man, I really wish I could edit this because that joke went 0. So, this is fantastic.
Great way to end it.
I was gonna say fantastic sign off, Pat. Thanks again. As soon as we have any information about the NC State wrestling season, we're obviously going to pump out information. We're going to get Pat back on the horn, and Pat, I know you're really looking forward to having your guys back here in Raleigh. It's been an awful long time since you guys have all been together.
Yes, let's get him here. Looking forward to it.
I want to thank everybody for listening today. This is your PackMentality's Pop-Ins Podcast covering all things NC State wrestling. Until next time, Wolfpack Wrestling fans, go Pack.
The PackMentality Pop-Ins Podcast is produced by the Mat Talk Podcast Network. For more wrestling podcasts, go to MatTalkOnline.com.